Hi, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. So, first things first, before we get started, how are you guys? It's been an eventful weekend. If some of you follow me on Twitter, which you should if you don't already, might have popped off a little bit. Trying not to, but girl's got a little fire in her. What can I say? Second kind of housekeeping update, I don't know, question for you guys. How's the lighting? One of the very, very sweet gifts that I got actually for my birthday was a ring light. My siblings got this for me, and I'm using it for the first time, and I'm not quite sure if I figured out if the light's good or not. Normally, the lights that I have in my ceiling are a little bit more yellowy, but this is more like daylight white, so let me know if it works. As some of you guys are aware, Chantal is back on her racist bullshit. Now, to be very honest with you, in the wake of the US elections and everything, the mindset that I have is that I'm glad she's doing all of this racist nonsense. I want it to be as out in the open as possible so that people can see the kind of person that they're choosing to support. Not just monetarily, but also with their views, with their clicks, just the kind of person that they're giving their backing to. And there's no more like if, ands, or buts about it, right? Chantal is a racist. And the ideology that she holds, the minimizing way in which she talks about people of color and BIPOC people, the disgust that she seems to hold for both Callie and Charlie, it's palpable. I just want that very clearly understood that I don't care if anyone's going to come in my comments and say things like, oh, well, you don't know what's in her heart and you don't know what's, no, we've seen it. At some point when people keep telling you the things that you're doing are racist, you should stop doing them, and then you just continue doing them anyway, it stops mattering. You'll see. This is pertaining mostly to the live. The other videos that she's put up are both boring and completely, I guess, without any kind of a point. But the live that she did was very, very telling, I think. And she's laid all of her racist cards now out in the open, as it were. And I want people to know that if they continue to support her, they are supporting a racist. With that said, let's dive right into it. We're going to start with Chantal's community tab post. Now, she's interspaced these with videos here and there, but the problem is that, as you guys know, I have full-time responsibilities. I'm not always on the nets. And she tends to post and delete things both video-wise on her channel and on her community tab page that she basically treats it kind of like her own personal Twitter. So I don't always catch things. And if I can find them on Twitter, I will find them. I try to remember to credit, but sometimes I'm not really. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at it. I apologize if I've taken one of your tweets or something like that and I've displayed it on screen and I haven't given you the kudos for it. I really do apologize. I'm really bad about it. Even with requests, people will ask me to do something and I'll remember to add it to my list mentally, but then I forget to screenshot it and then I can't find the comment later because I'm an idiot. It's it's a problem. Normally, I would try to discuss this in the manner in which stuff was occurring, but because there was so much back and forth and there's just a lot of information, I think, in this video as it is, I'm just going to go through her community tab page first, and then I'm going to talk about her videos. The first thing that she posted, her community tab post that I saw, was basically asking, should she do a, cook with me video where she's making her own healthier version of a chicken parm, or should she get food from a vegan restaurant called Pure Kitchen? It struck me as odd because she's not talked about her diet, health, weight, anything like that in quite a while. And here she is presenting two quote-unquote healthy options. We've seen Chantal go through these cycles where she'll try and she'll go vegan, she'll go vegetarian because she thinks it's healthier for her, not necessarily for ethical reasons. And so I kind of feel like this was sort of a similar thing, right? She's like proposing these two options that she thinks in her mind that are healthy. Curious. The next thing she basically posts is a fuck you to all the haters talking about how apparently she's only gained 1.3 pounds and blah, 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 and everyone's commenting about it. I hope she's lying. I personally think that there's a lie in there somewhere, but I really, really do hope that about her just having gained 1.3 pounds specifically is a lie. Because we know that she was almost 400 pounds the last time we saw her. like weigh-in for us live. And now if she's only gained 1.3 pounds, but her health has deteriorated to this extent, that says to me that her body is starting to break down, which I think is a much more terrifying concept than just saying, oh, okay, well, she's put on too much weight and that's causing her the problems. Because then you have the option that maybe if you lose the weight, you'll go back to being healthier and all that. If that is not true, if it is genuinely just the fact that her body is breaking down and she can no longer sustain this heavy weight and the kind of eating that she does and the kind of lifestyle that she has, it might not necessarily be reversible, right? Stuff like, your knees being shot, that's not reversible. That's why handling your weight problems earlier on in life is always better than waiting until you're like 45, 50, because the damage done to your joints, to your knees, to your ankles, it's permanent. And same thing goes with your internal organs. Some of that damage is just permanent. No amount of weight loss, healthy eating, exercising may ever be able to reverse that. The rest of the post is just nonsense that she talks about. I don't particularly care to comment about any of that, all except for one point where she talks about how she wants to slowly reduce her caloric intake so that she can balance her metabolism and her hormone levels, and so she doesn't feel like she's starving all the time. The problem with that point of view is that Chantal experiences two very distinct types of hunger. She has the physical hunger and then she has the head hunger, and the problem is she has a very hard time distinguishing between the two, because we've seen her come on camera and literally be like like swallowing and trying to keep all that food down, just suffering through it, but still continuing to eat. And I know she's not doing it for our benefit. She's doing it for her benefit. She's doing it because that's what she thinks she needs to do, that because she's still got room in her stomach. She's still hungry. She's still trying to satisfy an emotional need with a physical thing, right? And until she handles that part of her addiction, until she handles why she needs to eat so much, she is never going to get better. I firmly 100% believe that without some intensive therapy, without some intensive introspection, Chantal is going to remain exactly the way that she is. And quite frankly, I think Amberlynn is very much so in that same boat. The reason why you got to be this extreme weight is because there is something psychological, right? The weight is a symptom of a psychological problem. Until you address the psychological problem, the weight will not go away. If you're trying to fulfill an emotional need, you might be able to temporarily halt that, or worse, you might transfer addiction from one thing to another. And Chantal, we've already seen, has a propensity for spending a vast amount of money on useless garbage she doesn't need and won't use. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Next, she posts up this. Now, this struck me as being very funny because she says something like, makes you feel better about taking all of the messages down. That's not what that quote is trying to express to you. That quote is saying that no matter what you do, you're going to get criticism, so you might as well just say it with your chest, right? If you're going to say something, say it and leave your stuff up, Chantal. Leave everything up and let the internet do with it what it will. Now look, I have made mistakes in the short time that I have been reacting to Chantal, to Amberlynn, to just making videos, talking about things. I have said some stuff that, a couple of people have been kind enough to point out to me that, hey, maybe don't say this or maybe don't do that. Totally agree, right? And the reason I don't take my videos down, the reason I don't try and delete comments from people or even my own comments is because I want people to see that, yeah, this happened. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. I'm not going to go back and remove what I did in the past and try and hide that. I want it to always be there basically as a living archive for other people to see where I have come from, but also for myself to see this is what it was before. I've learned from it. I've grown from it. And some people might choose to forgive me. Other people might not, which is also totally okay. It's totally acceptable, right? I'm not owed anybody's apology, but that's why I leave it up there. That's what Chantal needs to do. She needs to leave everything up on the internet, basically, and let the public do with it what they will. And if she's sorry about something, she needs to not repeat that action in the future, and then let people decide if they've forgiven her. You cannot force people to forgive you, and you are not owed anybody's forgiveness. Nobody has to forgive you. No one has to give you anything. Foodie post and delete beauty is literally the exact opposite of what this quote is trying to illustrate. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Otherwise pretty, you know, frivolous. It doesn't really matter. And, you know, she's made a whole bunch of stupid comments on the rest of her socials, including, by the way, defending Donald Trump. She says something along the lines of, why does Anderson Cooper bring his weight into it when I think Anderson Cooper said something like he's feeling like an obese turtle on its back. And she took that very personally. She's like, well, why does his weight matter? His weight doesn't matter, to be very honest with you. I think Donald Trump would be a garbage person even if he was like at the pinnacle of health. I think the reason why people pick on his weight a little bit is because he's actively had his White House doctors lie about his health and about his weight. And a man as thin-skinned as him, which reminds me of our dear Foodie Beauty in that way as well, it galls him to think that anyone could think that he's weak. That's why I think people pick on it. When you show your insecurities like that to the whole wide world, people are going to pick at it. And honestly, normally I would not agree with that either. I don't agree with calling people negative names on their attributes, but he lies. He lies about everything. So hell, let me call him obese. If it's not true, it shouldn't hurt your feelings, right? That's where I'm coming from. But I mean, I could be wrong. I have my own personal reasons. And honestly, when it comes to this election and when it comes to this particular president, I'm maybe a little bit more petty. So, you know, I'll throw that out there so everyone knows what my bias is. And finally, after all of that preamble, let's get into it.
Hey guys, hey. How are you? A little bit of daylight left. I had a busy day, but I'm going to fit in a video for you guys for sure, because I love you guys and I missed you guys.
Once again, you can see her. She's pulled the bottom of her shirt like right up here, so it cuts off like the double chin that she has, the extra like roundness that she has in her face. That's not really fooling anyone. And if you watch the video where she's singing, I'm going to cut all that nonsense out, but while she's singing, you can see she keeps pulling it up a little bit, like anytime it would slip down underneath here. And I think she said in one of her other videos that she's doing it because that's just how it feels more comfortable. Absolutely not, ma'am. The reason why she does that is because it gives her a good reason to hide this part of her face that she is pretty self-conscious about.
Hey guys, welcome back. So I decided to take my food home. Went and picked it up.
I don't understand why she chooses to set up her camera like this. I mean, it's just so odd to me. I can barely see her eyes. Literally, if she tilts her head back even like half an inch, I'm going to miss her eyes altogether. And I realize once more, given my perpetual issue with trying to center myself in a frame, that who am I to talk? But once more, she's making money off of this. I am not even monetized. My channel isn't even monetized, which, by the way, if you guys want to help me get to the 1,000 subscriber mark, I would be oh so happy. I'm actually planning on doing a giveaway. I think I put it up on Twitter too. But I want to do a giveaway when I get to the 1,000 subscriber mark. So hey, help me get to that point. I'll pick something nice.
Go for I think I told you guys. Sorry, so good. A colonoscopy. And an endoscopy, which I didn't know. I'll put the tube down your throat. Up your butt and down your throat.
I don't understand how she can sit in front of a camera, eating a massive amount of food, talking about awful invasive tests that she has to get done, all that carry their own specific risk and complications, honestly, which are going to be worse for somebody at her size, and just think, this is fine. I'm just going to continue to eat and live my life like that. That just sounds so incredibly depressing.
I love feta. So, am I going to be doing Vlogmas? Probably not. I mean, didn't do a video every single day in October. It's just like, for me, like, shit happens and I just...
All right, this is going to be a really petty point, but she just ate feta and then she brushed the hair on her wig back kind of like this, right? She pushes her hair back like this. Now, if you guys have ever eaten feta, I think you'll realize feta is an incredibly smelly cheese. I'm not talking like Roquefort or anything like that, like those truly, truly awful stinky cheeses, but this is a pretty, pretty stinky cheese. If she's touching that, then she's touching her hair. Her hair is gonna smell like feta cheese. Do you remember how she was so mad that reaction channels were calling her a fat, smelly bitch? Now, Chantal is fat, and she's most definitely a bitch. Is she smelly? That was contentious, and many said it was very rude. But considering right now that she touched the cheese, then she touched her hair, right? I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but I'm just saying that if others did, they might not necessarily be wrong, ma'am.
You know, can't follow through with it. So what I'm gonna do is and I know there's people who, we were supposed to do a video every day. So I'm going to do holiday related videos, and I may end up doing a video every single day. You know, never know. But I'm not going to make it a permanent thing, just in case.
No, stuff doesn't just come up and then you stop. Life is always happening around everybody at all times. I myself, for example, like I said multiple times before, I have full-time responsibilities that I have to take care of. So you know what I'm doing? I wanted to do Vlogmas this year. I mean, they probably won't be very vloggy, but I still want to do something, right? So I decided, hey, let me start filming for it now. If I'm going to post a video every single day of December, that's a lot of videos. I don't know if I can make that kind of time commitment and follow through. So I'm trying to film as much as I can, as early as I can. I'm literally filming like 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks in advance. I'm filming stuff. I'm going to have it edited and ready to go so that I'm not late. If I promise something, I want to try and follow through as much as I can. She either doesn't plan or she doesn't prep. I think Chantal's actually pretty good at planning most things out. She just has like zero follow through. So she'll get to the point where she's done all the planning and then she's like, oh, I have to film. And she'll be like, oh, I'll film later. I'll do it later. I'll do this later. Oh, that sounds like so much work. Oh, you know what? Let me just post this right now. And then I'll figure out what I wanted to post, you know, at this etc. date that I was actually filming this for some other time. And then because she doesn't have a stockpile of videos, she doesn't have stuff ready to go, she falls behind, she gets stressed, and then she just quits, right? This would all be avoided if you just put in a little bit of extra elbow grease before Vlogmas starts, right? Film like a good 6-7 videos and have them ready to go so that you've got the strain that you have on a day-to-day basis during actual Vlogmas is severely reduced. I mean, it's elementary stuff, to be very honest with you.
I woke up, got ready, did my errands that I had to do today. Then went to Starbucks, got a pumpkin cold brew, and didn't eat anything. So I was like, I can make it because I'm going to drive to the restaurant, eat. Then it's like, I want to take the food home and eat it. But I was so hungry driving back. I was like, can I just stop? Like, I stopped to get gas. I'm like, could I just stop and just get because there was a Burger King right there. And I'm like, just get just one cheeseburger. I'm like, no, you can make it.
Okay, she says that she got there to the restaurant, and then she's like, well, I decided I changed my mind. I'm just going to bring it home and eat. How much do you want to bet that she got there, realized that there's already people there? She doesn't want to be seen by them eating. And then decided to bring all the food home. That kind of sounds like something she would do. Remember Rice Cake Gate? Sorry, I said rice cake. Remember Rice Dog Gate? Because this seems like a repeat of Rice Dog Gate. And then on the way home, she had to stop for gas. And because the idea of potentially having been seen by people eating, or even the fact that they saw this enormously obese woman come in and pick up a bunch of food, and she thought, well, they're all going to be sitting there judging me, I think it put her in a tizzy. And so on the way back, even though she has food, she couldn't wait. She's like, I need something to make this uncomfortable feeling go away. And she saw a Burger King, and she's like, oh, I'll just get one, just one, so I don't have to think about this anymore. And she's saying she resisted. If she did, I'm really, really glad for her. If she didn't, it would also make sense to me. And then she came home, and now she's eating all of this. And she mentions that. That's why, like, if I just gone there and I changed my mind, I don't even think it would have occurred to me. I would have just been like, yeah, I just brought the food home to eat. But she obviously lingers on it a little bit. She lingers. And the fact that she had that sudden need to eat a cheeseburger, I don't know, it speaks to me like she experienced some pretty uncomfortable emotions being in the restaurant, and this was her way of dealing with it.
Sam? So this is my dinner. And that's what mukbang is going to be for me. Once in a while, I might have something. I mean in portion wise, I'm not going to like go out of my way to do this huge food display. Sometimes I eat a lot, you know.
Chantal is not capable of regulating how much fast food she eats. She's just not. She's an addict. She needs to cut it out altogether. And then maybe 10 years down the line, once she's improved her relationship with food with intensive therapy, maybe she can go back and she can start incorporating fast food back into her diet. I mean, I don't know. I'm not her doctor, right? But currently, as it stands, Chantal cannot be eating fast food. She just can't. She always starts this way and then she always spirals downwards every single time.
But I guess depending on the results of my colonoscopy and everything, and if I do get diagnosed with like IBS and stuff, it'll probably be, you know, probably be a good idea to cut down the fast food, obviously. Just in general, maybe to like once a week, I don't know.
See, she just did it again. She just did it again. She just went from saying, I'm going to have to cut all this fast food out to maybe I'll have it once a week. And this is in the face of a diagnosis that she actually wants, right? I genuinely believe that Chantal wants to be diagnosed as having IBS. Because if she has IBS, then her terrible like stomach situation is not her fault. There's nothing she can do, guys. She's the victim here. People have to feel bad for her. They have to feel sympathy for her. And trust me, IBS sucks. I have a friend who has it, and it's a painful thing to have, right? There's a lot of good food, a lot of delicious things that you simply can't eat when you have IBS. And that's what she wants. She wants the sympathy. She wants the love and the adoration. She wants people to say, oh no, poor Chantal. That's why I think that she really wants it. But even in that situation, even then, she can't get everything in her life together enough to say, well, if I have this, then I might have to do something about it. If I have this, then I really should stop eating all this garbage. She can't even manage it then in a hypothetical situation. Even in her hypothetical, she starts with, I will cut it out, and then, well, maybe once a week, right? And already she's doing that mental flip-flop. So when she's actually putting it into practice, the idea that she would do better is, given her track record especially, it just seems unlikely. Next. All right, so most of the videos that Chantal has posted basically this week are pretty long. They're like around the 40-minute mark, this one being no exception. I am not going to play for you the majority of the video. A lot of it is just her being a jag, the best way I can put it. And I don't care to discuss it. I've discussed it quite a few times in the past, but there's still a few points in here that I want to address. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip most of it out, and I think there's going to be like 5 minutes worth of clips all in all, and I'm going to throw them into the video, like I do with everything else. But I don't want you to think that just because I'm not discussing other elements from this video that they're not important to me. I just think that either other people have covered it better, or they have more lived experience to talk about this issue. Anything I would say would come off as shallow, or equally likely I've already discussed it in the past, right? So all three of those reasons are why I might not address something in this video that you thought was important. If you have a question or you want to know my opinion on something else she said, please feel free to leave it down below and I will be more than happy to answer your question there. These videos are already so long. I don't want to make them any longer than I have to.
I cannot keep suckering myself back into drama, into worrying about what people are saying about me. So that usually happens. I'm moving along, I'm doing my videos, I'm nice and happy, and then somebody antagonizes, like somebody sends me something. I ask you to not do that. Please, just ignore, don't pay attention. I don't need to know. I don't care. I know you're going to say, yes, you do care because you react. But overall, really,
So she says that she doesn't want people sending her any of this information anymore and how it negatively mentally affects her. I can fully believe that. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Chantal is incredibly thin-skinned. She is incapable of taking any kind of criticism. So to see video after video after video of people criticizing her, people maybe belittling her, and I'm sure there's a ton of people out there who do call her, you know, a fat, smelly bitch and like a whole bunch of awful things. I don't know who she's referring to in that when she uses that particular phrase. I think it might be Miss Gloria, but I can't say with certainty. I'm not picking on Miss Gloria here. That's what I was trying to clarify. What I'm saying is I know she gets fat shamey comments and fat shamey videos and all this and all that, but she also just seeks all of this information out, and a lot of it is just constructive criticism and she doesn't want to hear it, right? So when people are sending her constructive criticism, she can't take that either, and she sees that as being hateful and that as being derogatory. And so everything to her seems derogatory because unless it's agreeing with her 100%, she doesn't want to hear it, sadly. Now, none of this matters really of who's sending her what and how she can prevent it and, you know, whether she should be checking her messages or not, because Chantal goes out and she looks for this stuff. There's been a ton of times where she will pop off on people's channels, people with incredibly small channels too. I think the best example that I have at the top of my head is Biggest Mikey, when she went off on him. And I found it really funny that she went off on him, and she didn't seem to realize that said more about her than it did about him. She's a pretty big channel. Mikey might have heard of her through, you know, various different ways, but Mikey's channel was pretty small, especially when she came after him. So what are you saying? You're just gonna, you just happen to stumble across his channel? I doubt that. Unless you're looking for videos about yourself, I really doubt you would have found his channel just by accident. She goes looking for videos about her, and she watches pretty much everything that she can. That's why she always seems to be addressing things that people just happen to mention just a few hours ago or whatever on Kiwi Farms. She's more up to date on what people are saying about her than I am. And I make videos about her. She needs to stop that. Her behavior is the one she needs to address before she can ask favors of her audience.
You know, at the end of the day, I have to really ask myself, you know, is it worth me raging and going to YouTube behind the scenes and going to the internal team and saying, you know, oh, this channel with like 1,000 subscribers is calling me a bitch cunt? Because I'm thinking, you know, Pete was like, do you really care what somebody, you know, this person is really, if they think you're a bitch cunt? And the answer really is no, I don't.
Chantal 100% cares. There is not anybody here, I think, who does not believe that. Chantal 100% cares that people are talking shit about her. She 100% cares, and if she could make people stop, she absolutely would. She can't, and more importantly, she doesn't want YouTube coming to look into her, because I think someone might have pointed out to her, someone who she actually wants to listen to her, that she actually wants to listen to, that if she keeps doing this and YouTube actually decides to look into all of the situation and not just one part of it, they'd see the fact that Chantal has been racist on camera, that Chantal has essentially just made very insensitive comments on camera, that Chantal has threatened violence against a BIPOC woman. And I think that once they see all of that, they might punish her a lot more strenuously than they punish other people. And once more, I want you guys to remember, right? Even Charlie Gold, who I think right now is the biggest of the reaction channels, Charlie Gold has a Patreon. She actually has Patreon members who support her. So if YouTube takes away monetization, which is what YouTube is more than likely to do, right? They don't want to get hit with a stick of, well, this person is obese, this person is that, well, why can they eat but I can't? But what they're going to do is they might just demonetize the whole genre. And unlike Stephanie Sue and Nick Akata and all these people who have a diversified revenue stream, Chantal has nothing. So if they take away monetization, she'll have nothing. But Charlie Gold still has Patreon, and so Charlie Gold will be okay. A lot of us other reactors have full-time day jobs that we go to. So we don't necessarily, I don't need YouTube. I'm doing it because I have fun doing it. I don't need the money. I'm not making any money. But even if I was, I don't think I would need the money from it. At least not at this juncture in my life. So she has a lot more to lose here. And I think that finally sunk in with her, and that's why she's finally stopped being a-hole, basically.
It's not about, okay, I'm going to eat boiled fish and greens, or I'm just going to eat protein, no carbs. That's not the way, YouTube can't discriminate against what people are eating, no matter what size they are. They have no idea how they're treating. Even if I had an eating disorder, I haven't talked about it on my channel in forever, and even if I do, they can't discriminate and say, oh, she's eating a big bowl of pasta. They don't know what I'm eating on the outside, because I'll tell you right now, mukbangs, I've discovered, were never, like, any binging I ever did was off camera, at night. That's the hidden pizza boxes in the closet. It was never, even if I ate large quantities on camera, it was never compared to some of these mukbangers. So please, have a seat and don't break the chair. Okay, please? Fat people have a right to be on social media. This is our workplace. We have a right to be in our workplace without being bullied and harassed. I do my videos. I eat on camera. I don't make videos about other people calling them cunts or bitches. You know what I mean? So, you know what? Good luck. Good luck with your tirades. I mean, I'm so glad I don't have Twitter. Why do people waste their time and energy on other people on Twitter all day? So, I mean, it's not worth all of that. It's really not. It's YouTube. I'm a mukbanger, and sometimes I have a big mouth, but come on now, I don't think that I do anything that bad that warrants that kind of treatment, but whatever. You can't control how people are going to react to you. It just doesn't work that way, right? So
you are not an employee of YouTube if you're uploading videos, if you're uploading content. That's not how YouTube works. You're actually an independent contractor. Those are two very different distinctions, because she likes to say that she's like, well, I'm an employee, and I deserve to be comfortable in my workplace. And I think Chantal really does see it like that. And that's why she's perfectly fine going to YouTube and complaining a bajillion times. That's not true. You're not an employee. You provide them with content, and you are their revenue stream in a lot of ways. You are an independent contractor at best. More importantly, you're a public figure. Public figures will get criticism. It is part of the territory. Now, do you also get a lot of hateful comments? I'm sure you do. The best thing I can say to you is that don't put stuff up on the internet. We can ask people to be better, but we cannot force anything on anybody. The only person whose actions you can control, Chantal, are your own. So if you're not comfortable with having people criticize you or your life online, then don't put stuff up online. Simple as that. And by the way, this idea that she doesn't have Twitter and, she can't imagine people spending this much time obsessing over other people's lives. She uses her community tab post as her Twitter, which is idiotic to me, because if she put it on actual Twitter, it would at least have a degree of separation from YouTube. The platform where she makes all of her money. And by the way, she would 100% control how people see her if she could. She 100% would stop people from thinking negatively about her, because Chantal is not a confident person. Chantal is not a confident woman. She's not comfortable with the way she looks, the way she acts, the way she behaves. She just feels comfortable saying it with her chest on the internet, because she doesn't think internet people are real. It's not real life to her.
Like, YouTube has terms and conditions specifically against bullying and harassment. Why should they? I mean, if they found a channel to be bullying, then they found a channel to be bullying. They were in the right. Why should somebody who just eats on camera have to get off because of that? It's backwards, Yes, you have to have a thick skin. I mean, I would be gone a long time ago if I really didn't, So, I mean, none of what people say hurts my feelings. It's the fact that they have a right to be on a platform and channel build off of hate and bullying and fat shaming. It's also a societal issue. I'm an obese person. In my presence, if it was anything else, if it was somebody who is gay or somebody, any other group of people who have stigma against them, if it was them talking out against it, people wouldn't tell them to shut up.
YouTube system is broken and everybody knows this. It's been known for quite a while. Now, whatever the problems are internally with YouTube, I don't know and I don't care right now. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that if YouTube is taking something down, that doesn't mean that you were in the right. What I do know for a fact is that you've struck channels before and you're saying you won't do it right now, but I also know you're notoriously good at flip-flopping. So who knows, you might go back and strike more channels because you think they're being bullying. Now, I want to make a completely separate video. I'm hoping I can have that out on Thursday about how talking about Chantal and Amber and whatnot is not actually bullying. I don't think people understand what bullying means. And Chantal in particular loves to throw that around, loves to say that, hey, if you're criticizing me, you're a bully because, you know, I'm an obese person online. Obese is not a protected class because you can lose fat. Fun fact, Chantal. You can exercise and then you can lose fat. I will always be an immigrant, okay? You can exercise and you can lose fat. But Charlie's always gonna be black. You can exercise and you can get thin. But Zachary Michael is always gonna be part of the LGBTQIA plus community. Do you see the difference? Those are intrinsic traits that I have no control over, that they have no control over. Being fat is something you can actually do shit about. The fact that you choose not to is not my problem, and it's not the government's problem, quite frankly. It does not deserve to be a protected class. Discrimination of any kind is wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody coming after me for saying that. But what Chantal is saying, that because she's an obese person, that makes her it makes her akin to being an immigrant in this country, that it makes her akin to being a BIPOC person, that it makes her akin to being LGBTQIA+. No, you're not. You're wrong and you're garbage. And every other fat activist out there who makes the same comparison is also wrong and they're also garbage.
Shani, and I want to say something about Shani. I hope you really don't I don't mean any offense. I don't really watch that much YouTube anymore. So I don't really, Shani, it's no offense. I don't watch, you know what I'm saying. I don't really watch that many people anymore. I do once in a while. So I've seen a lot of people hating on Shani, saying she said some things or whatever. You know what? And that, I support what other people say or do without even really knowing them, just because they give me super chats. I'm still going to be thankful for people donating. I'm not going to start just judging people and looking into people and researching people who want to follow me. Everybody has a right to watch my channel, to be a supporter.
We hate you, Chantal, because you suck. I mean, I don't hate her. I want to be very clear here. I don't think enough about her to hate her. But the reason I don't like you is because I think you suck. It's got nothing to do with your weight. I think you would suck at 150 pounds. A lot of the people that I talk about on this channel happen to be heavier people because I myself am a heavier person and I relate to their struggles. That's why a lot of obese women, a lot of heavier fat women want to talk about them because we've been through those struggles in a way that a thin person might not ever be able to understand. I understand Chantal better than somebody who's never had weight problems could, I think. That's why I talk about her, right? I don't hate her. She doesn't occupy my time when I'm not on YouTube. Please, you don't have that kind of power over people, okay? Second of all, the reason why I want to comment on her so much is because she makes us look bad. She makes us look like we're lazy, entitled, spoiled, and childish individuals, which is what people are prone to thinking anyway about obese women, or who are prone to thinking anyway about fat women. And she just makes it so much worse. That's why I want to talk about it. I don't want people to associate me with her. And I realize, our body shapes are very different. I am not as heavy as her. But you know what? There is a ton of obese women on YouTube who are killing it, who are smart and intelligent and funny and amazing, and they're good people. And Chantal's not any one of those things. But that's not because she's fat. That's because that's who Chantal is. But that's not what people are going to see when they look at her. She serves as a bad example. She makes all of us look bad. That's another reason why it pisses me off so much when she hides behind her fat. Okay, Shani for Christ. Now, I'm not an expert on Shani for Christ. For that, I'm going to refer you to Irate Alex's video on Shani for Christ. It's fantastically well done. Needless to say, Shani for Christ is a racist piece of garbage. She said the N-word hard R, right? I'm not saying the N-word without the hard R would make it acceptable. I'm just saying that it takes a special kind of terrible person to say it in that particular manner. And she said it not once, but she said it multiple times, and she's defended her use of that word. Right? So she's a racist. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, Chantal has actually been made aware of the fact that Shani for Christ is a racist, and she still continues to interact with this person. Now, Chantal cannot be held liable for what anybody says, you know, in her chats. She can't go in and verify every single one of her subscribers. She has, 81,000 now at this point. There's no way for her to do that. And honestly, even if she could, she wouldn't. Chantal's lazy as shit. The problem is that Shani for Christ is a problematic person, and many people have covered it and many people have pointed it out to her. So Chantal's aware at this point of the fact that this is not a good person, right? She was so quick to drop the coldest water bottle as a sponsor when, you know, because they're sponsoring hate channels apparently. She can't stand the thought of her being sponsored by a company that's also sponsoring Callie. You know, that wasn't acceptable to her because Callie is apparently, you know, a cyberbully. But accepting $100 from a racist, well, that's just fine. You know, that's fine because they're giving her money and she can't be held liable for it. So the coldest water bottle, their money was too good for you. But Shani for Christ, known racist, admitted racist, her money is just fine then. It's like that meme. Have you guys ever seen Community? They have that meme and she goes, I could excuse the racism, but this, I'm going to like insert it so you guys can see it. This is what that feels like. You know, this is kind of, it's kind of like that, except nobody is likable.
Pete's is a very, 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 very politically and socially opinionated person. Very, very opinionated.
Pete's is, he's very performative in his allyship in a lot of different ways. The biggest way would be that he still continues to interact with Chantal. Now, I can understand he lives with her. It might be an awkward situation, but he has never once gone online on his Instagram, not his Instagram, on his Twitter, which he knows people follow at this point, and said something like, hey, you know, I don't agree with Chantal's views on this. I'm sorry she said this. I have no control over her. Nothing. He's never made an issue statement to the contrary because he doesn't care, right? And you could say, well, you know, he doesn't care about being on the internet. Yeah, maybe, but he posts other shit there all the time. He could have made that effort. He could have said that. And even now, even after knowing the fact that Chantal continues to say and do racist shit, he continues to come onto her channel and support her and help her get more money. So if you're enabling a racist, that at least makes you somebody who's willing to excuse a racist's behavior, you know? So all of his talk about being, you know, a social justice warrior and like blah, 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 and, you know, this is how I feel, and being like this complete, you know, liberal individual, it's all just performative. It's just for wokeness points on the internet.
You know what? I would really like to see, I'm just going to say this about the election, just looking at Trump and Biden together, even the friggin' prime ministers of Canada makes me barf because, you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a colored woman be president. Heck, even a woman for president, for crying out loud.
All right, I know a lot of people have talked about this bit in the video a lot. I'm just exhausted talking about Chantal and her racist garbage. So I'm not going to go over it in a lot of detail, mostly because as being a non-BIPOC woman, I think that my voice is not the one that should be the loudest. But if you are part of my audience, I want to tell you just a couple things. One, that is colored is not the appropriate term to use for a person of color. It has a history of racism. If you're not from North America, you might not be familiar with it. So I'm going to link an article for you down below from the Chicago Tribune, which is earlier from this year. And it does a very good job in explaining why colored is inappropriate, but people of color is fine. Okay. So if you don't know about it, I want you to go through and read it. It's a pretty short read, but it does a very, very good job of condensing a lot of information in a very digestible way. I'm going to leave that there. If you are from North America, then you should understand that you don't use that term. Like I've never called somebody a colored person before. It's not even a thing that's occurred to me. The only time I thought of somebody being a colored person was, I think I was watching Hidden Figures. And that's kind of where that like, I thought of it in that manner. It's never occurred to me because it's felt wrong. It's not a thing that needs explanation. If you have an understanding, even an empathy towards people of color, you would not use that term, right? You would have to be purposefully blind to the way that people of color might feel to be so comfortable using that term. There really is very little excuse for why she said what she said, other than the fact that that's just how Chantal thinks. And if that is how Chantal thinks, then that's sad and it is racist. The only explanation, the only excuse, the only people allowed to use the term colored are if you're like 85 years old and you're like living in Texas in a retirement home and those brain-eating amoebas have gotten to you. You know, then I can say, yeah, makes sense. They've just forgotten. There are some people who are unfortunately still stuck in that time period where they're like, yeah, colored is what you want to use. They're trying to be sensitive. They're just failing at it. Chantal is not one of those people. I know she moves like an 85-year-old, but she's not actually an 85-year-old. She's a relatively young woman. She should have known better. She doesn't because she's racist. Next.
Hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey, 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 yeah.
All right, I said this about the shirt before and I'll say it again. The color is too light on her and it makes her look like a meat tube. The rest of this video, I just don't have my heart in it, to be very honest with you. I still want to give you guys the update because I promised it, but man, just Chantal and racism just makes me upset. So, probably going to go a little bit faster than the first half of it. Anyway, this shirt makes her look like a meat tube. I stand behind what I said. It looks absolutely terrible on her. It's too light. It just blends directly into her skin and makes her look naked in a very unpleasant way.
So for each chicken breast, I'm just going to add a bit of the egg and let it marinate while I put it in the fridge.
Why is she marinating her chicken in the egg wash? The egg is there to help adhere the breadcrumbs to the chicken. The egg doesn't provide her with anything else. The salt and pepper will provide her with flavor, but she could have just salt and peppered her chicken. What was the point of this?
And very fragrant. I love that smell of onions and garlic.
Oh, what's with her arm? Is that bruising? Did she fall? Does anyone know if she fell? Does anyone know? If anyone knows, please leave it down below because that looks really bad. It looks like maybe like a rash or maybe some kind of bruising. I don't know. I can't quite make it out.
Even a bit too long. They were down there a bit too long. Holding the camera. Oh, they're a nice brown. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Why doesn't she use the air fryer for this? Because I know that she has one. I think she was even sponsored by them. And she said she wanted to make a healthier version of chicken parm. So far, she's frying everything in oil. There doesn't seem to be a healthy at anything. And I've made chicken tenders a ton of times in the air fryer. They turn out super delicious. They're like near identical to how they would be if I'd actually deep fat fried them.
Mozzarella, shredded, pizza mozzarella. Each piece is going to have a lot of cheese. Yes, indeed. It's going to have some cheese. All right. And we're going to just put this in a 400-degree oven just until...
That is like an entire pound of cheese that she's put on there. So this isn't healthy. It's just homemade.
My mom sent me away to this summer camp. She thought she was, parents want their kids involved in things. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. It was a nightmare. But particularly, I had to share a cabin with some snotty girls, but also just how they would humiliate you in the dining hall if you put your elbows on the table. And it was just so embarrassing.
Okay, here's the thing. I have a lot of family members who have children. I myself, you know, want to be a mom. I think that's something that I want in my life. And I can tell you this right now as a fact that as a parent, you have to discipline children. Even as a caretaker for children, you have to discipline them because children are hellions. They're adorable and they're tiny and they smell bad and they're sticky all of the time. And you love them because they're tiny hellions. They are little alien people who literally have no concept of right or wrong. And a lot of times their behavior characteristics are such that you can't even diagnose things like psychopathy when they're younger. You have to teach them right from wrong. You have to teach them manners because they're never going to learn it on their own. The fact that Chantal now at the age of, I want to say 35, is still holding on to a grudge from back when she was a child for trying to teach her table manners, it astonishes me. She has a tremendous capacity for holding grudges. I'm actually impressed because I don't think I've ever held a grudge for that long. It's exhausting. I forget why I'm mad at people because I get tired of being mad at people. And I'm just like, fuck it, it's not worth it to me anymore. She apparently is not like that and just can hold on to a grudge forever. It would be impressive if it wasn't so sad. And either way, I don't think she's learned anything. So it's like, it's a moot point.
I got tired all of a sudden. Not full, tired. Running around. Do the run around. Run around. You know what? When you're a person who doesn't really exercise, which I know is not. Yes, I know exercise is good for me. I'm just saying, for somebody who doesn't exercise, just doing things like errands and cooking, running around in your kitchen cooking and, you know. Sorry. Cleaning our house. I got distracted by the deliciousness. It's a friggin' workout, man. Housework is even listed on my MyFitnessPal as exercise. Now, somebody who's super in shape, no, that wouldn't be a big deal. You know.
All right. No, you don't have to actually be a super healthy person to not find cleaning to be a very hard thing to do. I'm not a super healthy person, as you guys know, have my own weight struggles, but I clean my house on a pretty regular basis. My partner and I do it together. And you know what? It's not that difficult. I mean, it is like, it sucks. We're not like doing it because it's time consuming and we'd rather be doing other things, but it's not like we're physically exhausted and huffing and puffing at the end of the day. Now, you might think to yourself, well, you guys aren't 400 pounds. So I'm actually going to refer you to another channel that I'm actually planning on covering later on this week, Prissy P. She did this entire video where she cleaned her whole like downstairs house. It was like sparkly clean, beautiful. She did a great job. And she's a heavier woman. I would say she's maybe Chantal's size, give or take. And she busts her ass doing it. And you know what I didn't notice? She didn't need to like stop and sit down and like take a bunch of breathers. And she wasn't like sweating and huffing and puffing and red in the face and all that later on. Because she regularly does it. That's what happens. You build up your stamina. It's hard for Chantal because she doesn't clean. And we've seen evidence of that. And she just has really like filthy habits.
My cats are weird. I love Parmesan cheese.
I don't care what anybody says. If you come to my house and you put shaky cheese on any of the food, I will ask you to leave immediately. That is not cheese, okay? Parmesan that comes in a can like that is barely even food. Everyone else's opinion is wrong. You want actual Parmesan cheese, you need to grate it on there with a microplaner. It tastes amazing. I personally would say to not even grate it, you want to use like a fruit vegetable peeler and you get like little curls of Parmesan, and that actually preserves the crystals that are inside of Parmesan very well, so you get that nice texture in there. Perfect. Delicious. That's what you should do. Chantal's wrong. That cheese is disgusting. Next.
So, this is the new dress. I did show you in my try-on haul. It's very soft and I have my boots on. So, yeah. I like it.
Cute fall look.
Alright, I'm going to try the congee because I've never had that. I just like saying congee. What is congee?
Want me to look it up?
Sure. Smells good. It's a very different taste I haven't experienced.
Rice porridge or gruel?
I'll come back to that. It's not horrible. It's just weird for my taste buds right now.
So congee, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like a soft rice porridge. It's predominantly, I think, served in China. I've actually had it both in China and I've made it once I got home. It's delicious. When we went on our trip, my partner and I went on a trip a little while ago when there was a big lull in the COVID cases. We actually rented an RV and we did like a national park tour. It was the only thing that really felt safe, and we like completely sanitized the RV before we got into it. Relatively isolated from people, figured it'd be good. It was a lot of fun, but while we were doing this trip, food was hard. Fridges and RVs don't work as well as you would want. And so we had done a lot of like dried foods that we'd taken with us, and we just buy eggs occasionally, and I would just cook them, just to limit exposure even more, getting food from outside and whatnot. And one of our go-to meals was congee, because what I would do is I would just make like a big pot of like the rice, and then whatever vegetables I could find in a can, if they were fresh, I would just toss vegetables on top of that, crisp up some onions if I could, and boil eggs and add them on there. And it was delicious. Now, it's very bland if you don't season it right, so I would use like chicken broth, dashi, salt and pepper, and I think you get that little bottle of like the chili oil stuff that you get from the Asian grocery store. I put some of that in there, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it's very customizable too. You can even add some cheese. I'm not the biggest fan of that because then it ends up tasting a little bit like a risotto, but really, really delicious. Can be very nutritious as well.
I don't know if there's like a huge chunk of tofu. There's cilantro, some kind of, I don't even know. I'll try to look it up on their website and put it on the screen. Anyway, bite for you. Tofu. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna try the spicy sauce. Hi, Sam. Oh my God.
Clean your chin. You're a grown adult woman. I swear, I really hope that someone is paying her to eat like this, because if no one is paying her, then she's just being disgusting on camera for nothing. The sheer amount of staring and peeping that she does when it comes to Pizza's food is like really odd to me, because she's got like her own food. And even as she's eating, she's like eyeing his. She's like, okay, but what about his food? Do you think he'll want all of it? Maybe I can eat some of his food too. It's really disconcerting.
Anyways, guys, this video is long enough, I guess. Thanks for hanging out with us. I really enjoyed making this kind of video for you, just trying different foods. Trying to improve my actual review of the food, but like for me, it's like by the time I get to the food, I'm so hungry. I just want to eat it, and it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, like this is this. I just want to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a food reviewer. I'm just, I guess not reviewing the food, but just trying it, because I couldn't tell you what that sauce was, really, honestly.
You're not a food reviewer, you're a food eater.
I'm a food eater.
I really don't understand at this point why she doesn't just change the name of her channel to Chantal Marie, because she leaves the foodie beauty in there, but she doesn't review her food very well, and she's not particularly a foodie either. I mean, once more, may I remind you of the shaky cheese incident? So all I can say is that I continue to be amused and perplexed by why she chooses to name her channel the way that she has. All right, well, that will be it from Chantal, from me. Once more, I'll be back next week with another weekly Chantal video, as always, you know. I'll be back. I'll let you guys know what she's up to. If you guys are, like, at all interested, and if you want to help me, if any one of you are, like, Chantalologists and actually archive all of her, like, community tab posts and whatnot, her, like, stuff that she puts up on Instagram, if you want to help me, if you don't have to, but if you could, that'd be nice. My email is listed down below. If you could just, like, at the end of the week, just be like, hey, so far, this is what she's done. Here are all of your timestamp thingies. I would really appreciate it, because I miss stuff all the time, and it really pisses me off, but I really don't have any other way of doing it. You don't have to. Nobody has to help me. I'll piece it together as best as I can. But if you are already doing it and you don't mind, I would really appreciate it. Okay, that'll be it from me. All right, you guys. Have an awesome Monday, and I'm so glad that you guys are here watching this with me. Let me know once more about the quality of the video. And remember, Chantal is still a piece of racist garbage, okay? I want to make that abundantly clear so everybody knows that people who are still continuing to support Chantal are supporting a piece of racist garbage. And that will be it from me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. You know, you can give me a thumbs down if you hated it. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinion here. Leave me a comment down below if there's something you'd like me to really, really know. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell and hit all so you get notifications for when I upload. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, where it's mostly just, you know, food, what I'm cooking, my recipes, and my life as well when I had a life. Right now, not so much, but right now it's just food. I've got my Twitter down there where I occasionally pop off and offer all of my opinions. So anything you're curious about, like between uploads, what I'm doing, that's where it will be. And I've got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing and you would like me to continue and maybe help me a little bit, you know, toss a few coins in my direction, that's where you can do it. You don't have to, don't feel obligated, but if you do, I would really appreciate it, like I said. As always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace.